Greetings everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make a Shadowdark map using the core book, a graph paper notebook, some dice, a few index cards, and some gel pens. Let's have some fun. The first thing I did was separate the task into 7 simple steps, and I wrote them in this index card that you can copy if you wish. Before I get started with the 7 steps, I draw a line around the outer edge of the page. Sort of a boundary where I'm going to be working. Step number 1 is rolling for the site size and the site type. Let's roll some dice. Rolling for size, we got a 6. Rolling for type, we got a 3. Because we got a 6 on the size, we have to roll 12 d10s on the page. We'll make a note of each die exactly where they fell. This one right here is a 0. This one right here, it's a 5. You write down exactly where they fell. Once you're done with that, you can remove all the d10s from the page. It doesn't look too great now, but you'll see. Now we roll for the danger level, and we got a 2. I try to keep good notes of everything that I roll nearby on another index card. Now let's use one of our gel pens and let's begin making some rooms. I use the squares on the page to guide me. You use the numbers on the page to tell you exactly where you're supposed to place a room. I'm gonna make most of the rooms in my dungeon squared shape, but you can make them on any shape you want. You're going to place the rooms exactly where the dice fell. I'm gonna connect the rooms using hallways. Just keep making rooms and connecting them, and eventually you will have the shape of the dungeon complete. I wanted to add an extra room right here, so I rolled the dice to see what will be in it. I decided to add a secret room to this empty room at the beginning, just to make it a little bit more exciting. For this next step, we're gonna draw these big boxes around the map. We're gonna keep 1 square of distance between the box and everything else. I'm gonna show you here how to do it. Here we have all the boxes already in the page. What I'm going to do now is assign a letter of the alphabet to each room. This will be room A, the next one will be room B, and so on. I also start writing in the boxes the letters with the actual content of the room. Now we're going to do the most fun part of the process for me. Go ahead and pick any corner from any of the walls and draw 3 lines or 4 lines. Then draw 4 more on the other corner. And then 4 like this, which will create more corners. And you can go ahead and continue drawing lines. Just continue drawing lines and relax, and there's no mistakes. If you draw any lines that you don't like, you can go ahead and erase them. And you can see here, as I continue drawing lines, I try to find the corners. I try to join the corners like this. 4 lines at a time. The most important thing is that you have fun. I'm gonna let the camera roll and show you a lot of the process. During this process of filling up with lines, I decided that this tomb will be the tomb of a cursed royal family that was put here because of their greed to suffer for eternity. Before you know it, all the walls will look like this. During the process of filling up the walls, I decided to put the name of the tomb here and the exit right here. Look at how good it looks when everything is filled up. At this point, I decide to color code everything. I think the bosses should have red, the solo monsters and monster mobs should have blue, treasure rooms should use green. It's a lot easier to interpret like that. Now the basic architecture of our dungeon is complete. All the walls are filled in, we know where the rooms are, and we know what each room contains, color-coded and everything. Before I add any details or flavor text, I'm gonna underline the header of every room so that it stands out. It's starting to look really good. Now we're going to add flavor text and we're going to create monsters and fill this dungeon with denizens of evil. When the players enter the dungeon, if they go west, they will find an empty room with a secret door that leads to a treasury. If they go east, the passage will lead to the prince. As you can see, an index card is enough to include all the details you need, including flavor text in the back. Now we have details for the empty room, the treasure room, and the prince encounter. It's important that you leave at least 1 square of space between the contents of one room and another. That way, it won't look cluttered. Let me add more text here to demonstrate. Now this entire upper corner of the dungeon is complete. Adventurers can go here in the entrance, go to the empty room that we have the details here of. They can go to the treasure room if I find the secret door, right here, and we have the details for that here. If they proceed right here, they will encounter the prince, and we have details right here. If they survive, they will go to an empty room. We added that already here. So what's next? Continuing south, the heroes have 2 choices. They can continue west and encounter a solo monster in this room. We can put details for that here. Or they can continue going south and encounter here a monster mob. Let's go ahead and roll for that solo monster. A 2 is gonna be a mighty, and a 5. Spellcaster. A mighty spellcaster, huh? Here we have the monster I created using the mighty spellcaster archetype in mind. Again, an index card is enough for you to include all the details you need, including flavor text. For the room with the monster mob, I decided to just use 5 skeleton soldiers from the core book. At any point of the process, you can go ahead and add any little details to the rooms that come to your mind, like columns, stairways, torches, anything you want to draw in there that makes sense to you. I added some detail to the room with the trap, just to represent that the trap are darts that come from the floor. I also put the details of the trap right here. Continue going room by room, adding the monsters, traps, treasures, and adding the flavor text to the boxes. Once you're done, you will have the architecture of the dungeon complete. You will have the boxes filled with the flavor text explaining the content of each room, and you will also have index cards with the monster stats and everything else that you may need. And that's basically the procedure to design the entire architecture of the dungeon with the contents of each room. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this style of making maps. I'm going to be making more Shadowdark maps in the future, and I'm going to be creating some monsters in detail so you can see how I go about the process. Once again, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you soon again in the Wacky Wizards Tavern.